The story begins in a restaurant where Tojo is sitting with his father, waiting for someone. However, Tojo is nervous, he gets agitated and goes to the toilet. Tojo is completely surprised by his father's decision to get married. As he opens up the unisex toilet's door, he finds a girl in there. Both of them are shocked, and Tojo sees a notice out the toilet asking to knock before entering, as the lock is broken. Tojo quickly tries to run away, but he notices her about to scream and quickly covers her mouth. Tojo tries to tell her that it's a misunderstanding and he didn't notice the message outside the room. He begs her to calm down, and the girl nods her head. As he leaves her, she suddenly slaps him. He's confused why she hit him. As the girl was about to explain him with a kick, Tojo's father arrives along with another little girl, and they get to know that they're stepsister and brother later. Tojo asks about their mother's whereabouts. His father reveals that she's out on a business trip. The next morning, as Tojo wakes up from his dream, he finds Mio on top. He asks the reason for this, and she explains how guys like to be woken up by girls like this. Mio then notices something hard under the blanket and finds a game there. She scolds him for having such a game despite living with two girls now. But the game doesn't belong to Tojo. Later, as he was walking to the kitchen, he meets with his second sister Maria, and gets to know that she was the one who put the game in his bed. Later, Tojo and Mio came out of the grocery store. As Tojo goes to get his bicycle, a bunch of guys arrive near Mio and start teasing her, grabbing her by the shoulder. Mio quickly removes his hands and warns him not to touch her or she'll kill them. They get excited to hear such words coming from her mouth. Then Tojo comes back and asks if they have a problem with his friend. The guys try to argue with him, but Tojo quickly smashes his face with his bicycle and throws pepper powder onto them, and gets away from there. While on their way, they stop by to admire the beauty of the city and the sunset. Tojo says that even though their parents haven't got married yet, but since they already started living together, they should start to rely on each other like a normal family. Later at home, Tojo gets to know about his father leaving the country to work in Dubai. He asks Tojo to protect the family as the oldest son. As he was seeing his dad off, the girls sitting in a dark room watching them from inside. Tojo gets inside and the lights go off. He calls out their names but receives no response. He begins to look for them and finds them sitting quietly in a dark room. He asks what would they want for dinner, but he receives no response from them. Mio suddenly requests him to leave the house immediately. Tojo is surprised to hear that. Maria suddenly uses her magic to throw him aside. Tojo is confused, unable to comprehend what's happening. Maria then begins to transform into her demon form. She's mad at Tojo for being disrespectful towards the future demon Lord Mio. Maria asks him to leave as they'll be taking the house as their base in the human world. Tojo also gets to know his dad's marriage was nothing but a lie and they had altered his dad's memories. As Maria tries to alter Tojo's memories too, she's shocked to know that it doesn't work on him. As she was trying again, he starts to teleport in multiple directions. Maria is confused and tries to attack him with her magic, but Tojo sucks all her magic with his weapons, revealing that he's one of the heroes from the Hero Clan. Mio didn't expect someone from the Hero Clan to be here in the human world, and asks him his reasons to be here. But Tojo is not obligated to answer her, and swings his sword to attack them but stops in the middle. He asks them to leave from there. Later, he's sitting in his room, holding on to his hand, shivering in pain. He recalls a memory of him standing in front of a monster. He calls his father, asking why he pretended to be tricked by them. And Tojo gets to know that Mio is actually the daughter of a demon Lord Wilbert, and to save his daughter from any kind of danger, Wilbert decided to send her to the human world. Elsewhere, Mio is visiting the same place Tojo showed her earlier before she leaves the town. She also decides not to cause trouble anymore. As the two are talking, Mio senses a presence nearby and a portal opens up in the sky, dropping a few monsters. Meanwhile, Tojo's father is informing him about how the new demon lord is after Mio to get his hands on Wilbert's power that she inherited, and since he hasn't learned her powers yet, she'll soon be dead if no one came to her aid, thus the reason he decided to take care of her. Tojo heads out to look for the two. Meanwhile, Mio and Maria are fighting off with the demons. Then suddenly a giant dark shadow appears in front of her and attacks her. She gets thrown far away. Tojo notices her falling from above. He quickly goes up and jumps to catch her, and they start falling down. As the demon approaches them, he quickly kills him using his sword. He then asks them to come back home. Later, as Mio is taking a bath, Maria asks Tojo his reasons to save them, even though he was genuinely mad at them for tricking his father. Tojo tells her he had a word with his father who explained to him Mio's situation, and he started to feel sympathy towards her. Later, Tojo knocks the bathroom door and asks if he can have a word with her. He wants to apologize for getting mad at them earlier without knowing the full story. As Mio was about to say something, she suddenly collapses on the floor. Tojo gets inside to check up on her and finds her lying down. He quickly runs towards her and offers her his hand, but she rejects. She is confused since they had deceived him and they deserve no apology. Tojo, however, manages to convince her and tells her that him and his father both have decided to protect her as a family member. Later, Maria comes up with an idea to form a master-servant pact between Tojo and Mio in order to keep Mio safe from harm. But Maria messes up the rotation a little bit and ends up making Tojo the master, and now Mio has to kiss Tojo's hand to complete the pact, but the mark disappears before she can, and ends up getting cursed for not completing the pact. And now, to relieve her from her suffering, Tojo needs to do weird things to her. Anyways, after Mio gets relieved, she drags Maria to give her reward for putting her in weird situation. The next morning, the two head to the school together. Since it's his first day as a transfer student, he introduces himself to the class and finds he's in the same class as Mio. Later, the class rep comes near Tojo and suddenly hugs him. Everyone gets shocked in the classroom. Mio asks him to get away. The class rep reminds Tojo that she's his childhood friend Yuki. Mio comes and separates the two away, and tells Yuki not to hug him out of the ordinary. Yuki tells him that this is actually quite normal for them. Mio asks Tojo for an explanation. Yuki interrupts, saying this is none of her business. Mio gets crazy and ends up revealing that they're actually living together in front of the whole class. Later, Tojo is now hated by all the male boys on the campus. After that, Tojo asks Mio if she wants to have lunch together with him, but Mio refuses and asks him to have it with his newly discovered friend instead. Then a guy comes near Tojo, introducing himself as Yahiro. Later, Yahiro breaks the door lock to eat lunch with Tojo on the rooftop. Tojo talks about how he isn't happy with the guys hating on him for no reason. Yahiro explains it's because of him having relationships with the two most popular girls in the school, Mio and Yuki. Later, as they were heading home, Mio asks him not to follow her, and they see Maria waiting for them outside the school. Mio ignores and keeps walking. Maria asks the reason for her bad mood. Tojo moves ahead and tries to talk to her, but gets interrupted by Yuki, asking him to have a discussion with her. Elsewhere, Yuki points out that he has changed since they last met, as before he was very clingy to her. Then she also warns him to stay away from Mio. In the same cafe, Mio reveals that Yuki is also one of the Hero clan members, just like Tojo. As she was getting mad at him for talking to Yuki, her curse activates. Meanwhile, Tojo is explaining Mio's background story to Yuki and how he has decided to protect her. Later, as they were heading back, Yuki is concerned about him risking his life fighting off the demons to protect Mio. Tojo moves ahead, but suddenly Yuki starts using her magic powers and swings back to kill a demon behind her. And we get to know that Yuki likes to wear striped panties. Anyways, she adds that her mere existence is drawing demons into the human world, and if the number of demons grow more, then she'll have to eliminate her, no matter the cost. Later at the school, Mio is mad at Tojo for him to sleep in the class instead of paying attention to her. Then suddenly Yahiro arrives there and starts talking to him. Mio notices Yuki looking at Tojo. Yuki then moves ahead, and Yahiro informs Yuki and Tojo that they're called by the teacher at the faculty room for an urgent work. Tojo goes to Mio to ask if they should inform Maria about them being late. As Mio gets suspicious thoughts about him and Yuki, she gets jealous and mad at him, which activates the curse. She starts to feel dizzy and falls. At the infirmary, the nurse informs that Mio's just a little anemic, and other than that she's fine. As the nurse is called out, she leaves the room, and Mio wakes up. He tries to leave the room, but she stops him. Tojo decides to call Maria and inform her, and tells Mio not to worry as he's with her, and Mio agrees with him. Elsewhere, while getting something to drink, he's on a call with Maria asking if anything unusual she spotted, and Yahiro arrives there informing him about Yuki going to see Mio and him in the infirmary room. And suddenly lights go out, and demons start to appear from the darkness. Elsewhere, Yuki is meeting with Mio, asking to have a word with her. Meanwhile, Yahiro is completely shocked to see what's happening. Tojo quickly knocks him out and uses his sword to destroy the monsters and starts looking for Mio. As he arrives at the room, he finds the bed empty. While on rooftop, Yuki tells her that because of her, Toju's life is in danger, and she wants to keep her away from him. But since Toju is only protecting her because they're family, Mio denies to back off. And Yuki suddenly attacks her and both starts fighting with each other. However, Yuki quickly overwhelms Mio. She puts her sword back and explains to her Toju's past, where he had to eliminate many of his companions in order for him to save her family. While running here and there, Toju remembers the pact and uses it to find her location. Yuki says that it hurts him whenever he wields his sword. As she was about to attack Mio, Toju arrives there and stops the two, and suddenly a man from above speaks, letting Toju know that they were talking about his past and present. He also reveals that Toju has been fighting demons every night to protect Mio. Toju tries to shut him up, but he overpowers him. Mio is shocked to know that he's been fighting off demons all night behind her back. The man explains how because of her father's inherited magic powers, Mio draws demons towards her, and if the enemies in number grows, she'll be put from a surveillance target to an elimination target, and Hero Clan will have to hunt her down. He asks her to surrender her inherited powers, then suddenly a monster emerges from her shadow and tries to attack her. Toju comes in between and gets injured instead. Thanks for watching till the end. Comment down below for part 2 and subscribe to Panda Recap.